an Lá Dearg and Lá Rodonla.
Carly, and I want to echo the remarks of sympathy and solidarity to the people of Manchester following last night's horrific tragedy inflicted upon that city and those people. And I want, if I can, Leader, to actually reaffirm the remarks from Senator Norris, McDowell and O'Riordan. This is a time, in the words of the great Martin Luther King, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hatred cannot drive out hatred, only love can do that. I consider myself very, very proudly anti-fascist, and I consider myself also very active where I can be in that anti-fascism. Whether that's the kind of awfulness we saw manifested in the Manchester Evening Arena last night, or some of the mistruths and horrible lies and distortions that are oftentimes being deliberately spread. And I think we as political leaders, even though somewhat distant from Manchester but connected by those bonds that Senator Conway Walsh mentioned, we here in Ireland have a responsibility to be ever alert to that kind of hatred spreading and do our best where we can to face it down. Leader, very briefly, I mentioned in the Shannon last week the Lá Dearg that was coming up in Belfast at the weekend. Much like Senator Warfield mentioned, we still await marriage equality legislation in the North, despite a majority of MLAs being in its favour, but we also wait for legislation that protects the rights of Irish language speakers and those who want to live their lives through the medium of Irish. We saw over 12,000 people take to the streets of Belfast, mostly families, mostly students and young people from Gaelscoil, to take over the city in a very colourful, diverse and inclusive way. So I think, much like I said last week, I think it's safe to say all the parties in these houses and indeed the government have all been very, very clear, along with the UN, the European Union's Council of Experts, have all said that there should be a rights-based legislation that protects the Irish Language and Irish Language Act in the North. So upon the conclusion of the upcoming Westminster election and the resumption of the talks, I think we should all redouble our efforts to ensure that issues of marriage equality, issues of Acne Gaeilge and indeed other outstanding issues are resolved.